The studio lights blazed down on the set of Piers Morgan's Uncensored, where the atmosphere was already thick with anticipation as Ricky Gervais sauntered onto the stage, his trademark smirk firmly in place, greeted by a mix of applause and murmurs from the live audience, while Piers, ever the provocative host, leaned forward with a glint in his eye, ready to dive into what promised to be a no-holds-barred conversation about comedy, cancel culture, and everything in between. But little did anyone know that this encounter would escalate into one of the most memorable clashes in talk show history, starting innocently enough with Piers probing Ricky about his latest stand-up special, Armageddon, where Ricky had skewered everything from religion to wokeness, and Ricky fired back with his signature wit, saying something like, "Piers, you're the king of controversy, but even you must admit that half the time you're just stirring the pot for ratings," which drew laughs, but Piers, not one to back down, countered with a jab about Ricky's atheism, asking if he really believed there was no God or if it was just for shock value, and Ricky leaned in, his voice dripping with sarcasm, explaining how religion was a fairy tale for adults, comparing it to believing in Santa Claus, which prompted Piers to defend faith as a cornerstone of society, sparking the first real tension as their voices rose, with Ricky accusing Piers of being a hypocrite for his past tabloid antics, and Piers retorting that Ricky's humor often crossed into cruelty, especially with his jokes about trans issues, which Ricky defended as punching up at ideas, not people. But the debate heated up when Piers brought up animal rights, knowing Ricky's passion for it, questioning if vegetarians like him were hypocrites for owning pets, and Ricky exploded with laughter at first, then seriousness, detailing the horrors of factory farming, calling Piers out for his meat-eating ways, and the audience shifted uncomfortably as the exchange turned personal, with Piers mentioning Ricky's wealth and how he lived in luxury while preaching, and Ricky shot back that at least he didn't exploit people for headlines like Piers did during his Mirror days, referencing the phone hacking scandal, which made Piers' face redden, and he interrupted sharply, trying to steer back, but Ricky wouldn't let it go, piling on with quips about Piers' ego being bigger than his viewer count, and the producer in the control room started sweating, sensing the derailment, as the two men talked over each other, their British accents clashing in a verbal melee that had the audience gasping and chuckling in equal measure, building to a point where Piers slammed his hand on the desk, demanding respect, and Ricky, unfazed, replied that respect is earned, not demanded, especially from someone who thrives on division. And just as it seemed they might cool down, Piers brought up Ricky's Twitter feuds, calling him a troll, and Ricky countered by saying Piers was the original troll, having built a career on it, and the back and forth intensified, with insults flying about intelligence, relevance, and even their ages, Ricky joking that Piers was old enough to remember when journalism had integrity, which elicited boos and cheers, pushing Piers to his limit as he warned Ricky to tone it down or leave, but Ricky, ever the provocateur, dared him, saying, "Go on then, kick me off, it'll be the most exciting thing that's happened on this show in years," and the tension peaked, the camera zooming in on their faces, sweat beading, eyes locked in defiance, setting the stage for the inevitable explosion that would make headlines worldwide, as the commercial break loomed, but the show was live. So there was no escape. Piers tried to regain control by pivoting to a lighter topic, like Ricky's love for cats, but Ricky, still fired up from the previous exchange, twisted it back to animal welfare, accusing Piers of dodging the real issues, and Piers, frustrated, raised his voice, saying, "This is my show, Ricky, and I won't have you hijacking it with your agenda," to which Ricky replied with a laugh, "Agenda? Pot. Meat kettle your whole career is an agenda," and the audience erupted, some clapping for Ricky's boldness, others siding with Piers' authority, and that's when things really escalated, with Piers standing up, gesturing towards the exit, telling Ricky that if he couldn't behave like a guest, he could leave, and Ricky, not missing a beat, stood as well, saying, "Fine, I'll go, but not before I say this, you're a bully disguised as a journalist, and the world sees through it," which prompted security to appear subtly in the wings, and Piers, now fully enraged, shouted, "Get him out of here." As the crowd gasped in shock, and Ricky, turning to the camera with a grin, waved goodbye, quipping, "Thanks for having me, Piers or not," before being escorted off, leaving Piers fuming at his desk, trying to compose himself as the show cut to an unplanned break. But the damage was done, and social media lit up instantly with clips going viral. Hashtags like #Ricky vs Piers and #KickedOff trending worldwide, as fans debated who was right, with Ricky's supporters praising his unfiltered honesty and Piers fans defending his right to control his program. And in the aftermath, interviews and statements poured in, Ricky tweeting later that night, "Well, that was fun until it wasn't," with a laughing emoji, while Piers issued a statement calling it a regrettable but necessary action to maintain decorum. But the clip of the moment Ricky was led away became iconic, replayed on news shows, analyzed by pundits, with some calling it a masterclass in confrontation, others a low point for civil discourse, but undeniably, it boosted both their profiles, with viewership spiking for reruns and downloads, proving once again that controversy sells. And as details emerged, like how the producers had warned both beforehand to keep it light, but egos prevailed, leading to this spectacle that blurred the line between entertainment and chaos, with Ricky later joking in a podcast that he expected a debate, not a dismissal, and Piers admitting in a follow-up episode that he might have overreacted but stood by his decision, sparking further discussions on free speech versus host authority, and the event even inspired memes, parodies on late-night shows, and think pieces in newspapers about the state of modern media, where clashes like this are engineered for engagement, but in this case, it felt raw and real, capturing the essence of two strong personalities colliding head-on, without scripts or safety nets, reminding viewers why live TV can be so unpredictable and thrilling. In the days following the incident, the internet was ablaze with reactions, from celebrities weighing in like Stephen Fry tweeting support for Ricky's candor, to Elon Musk commenting on X about free speech, to everyday viewers recreating the clash in TikTok videos, amplifying the moment where Piers pointed to the door and Ricky defiantly stood, his parting words echoing, "See you in the tabloids, mate," which only fueled the fire, and media outlets dissected every second, with body language experts noting Piers' clenched fists and Ricky's relaxed posture as signs of who held the upper hand psychologically, while talk show hosts like Jimmy Fallon lampooned it on their programs, impersonating the accents and gestures, turning a heated argument into pop culture fodder, and Ricky, capitalizing on the buzz, announced a new comedy bit inspired by the event in his upcoming tour, teasing lines like, "I got kicked off a show for telling the truth, sounds like a badge of honor," apostrophe which sold out tickets faster, proving the old adage that there's no such thing as bad publicity. And Piers, not to be outdone, dedicated an entire episode to the fallout, inviting guests to debate whether guests should respect hosts or if shows thrive on anarchy, with ratings soaring as a result. But beneath the spectacle, deeper issues surfaced, like the role of comedy in challenging norms, with Ricky's atheism clashing against Piers' more traditional views, highlighting societal divides on faith, identity, and humor's boundaries, and animal rights activists praised Ricky for slipping in advocacy amid the chaos, while critics accused both of sensationalism, but the raw emotion captured Piers' anger, Ricky's amusement humanized them, showing vulnerabilities behind the personas, and as footage leaked of backstage moments, where Ricky shook hands with crew members on his way out, laughing it off, contrasted with Piers pacing furiously, it added layers to the narrative, making it more than just a kickoff, but a commentary on ego in entertainment, and podcasts delved into their histories, noting past friendly appearances that made this turn surprising, perhaps triggered by off-air tensions or built-up resentments, with speculation rife about a pre-show argument over topics, leading to the on-air blow-up, and ultimately, the event underscored the power of live television to capture unscripted drama, where words can wound or win, and in this case, both men emerged victorious in their spheres, Ricky as the rebellious comedian, Piers as the unyielding interrogator, forever linked by this clash that would be referenced in future interviews, books, and perhaps even their obituaries as a defining moment in their careers. Reflecting on the broader implications, this clash between Ricky Gervais and Piers Morgan served as a microcosm of larger cultural battles, where comedy meets journalism, irreverence clashes with structure, and personal beliefs ignite public spectacles, with Ricky embodying the freethinker who uses humor to dismantle sacred cows, while Piers represents the establishment voice demanding order, and their ejection moment symbolized the limits of tolerance and discourse, raising questions about when a guest crosses the line and if hosts have too much power, echoed in similar incidents like Kanye West's rants or other walk-offs, but this one stood out for its British banter turned bitter, with witty insults giving way to genuine ire, and analysts pointed out how social media amplified it, turning a 10-minute segment into endless content, from reaction videos to AI-generated deepfakes exaggerating the drama, and Ricky's post-incident interviews revealed he wasn't surprised, having clashed with hosts before, but appreciated the authenticity, saying, "It's better to be kicked off for being real than stay on for being fake," which resonated with fans tired of polished PR, while Piers defended his actions in columns, arguing that respect is foundational, even in debate, and the event sparked academic discussions on media ethics, with professors using it as a case study in communication classes, examining rhetoric, power dynamics, and audience influence, and commercially, it benefited both, with Ricky's Netflix special seeing view bumps and Piers' show gaining subscribers, proving conflict drives consumption in the attention economy. But on a personal level, rumors swirled of a private reconciliation, perhaps over drinks, as old friends do, though publicly they milked the feud, with Ricky tweeting jabs and Piers responding in kind, keeping the story alive, and the video script of the event itself became a hot commodity, with networks bidding for extended cuts, including unaired footage where tensions built pre-show, hinting at deeper animosities or just high-stakes banter, and ultimately, this heated clash reminded us that in the arena of ideas, sometimes egos eclipse enlightenment, but the entertainment value endures, etching Ricky's kickoff into talk show lore as a legendary moment of unbridled confrontation. Delving deeper into the dialogue that led to the ejection, it all unraveled when Piers pressed Ricky on his views about gender identity, a hot-button issue, with Piers citing examples of athletes and Ricky countering that comedy should question everything, leading to a rapid-fire exchange where Ricky said, "You're confusing kindness with compulsion. I can be kind without agreeing," and Piers accused him of transphobia, which Ricky vehemently denied, explaining his support for rights but reservation on certain policies, and the intensity ramped up as Piers interrupted repeatedly, frustrating Ricky, who yelled, "Let me finish, for God's sake. Oh wait, there is no God," injecting humor that lightened momentarily but then darkened when Piers called it deflection, and Ricky fired back about Piers' own controversies, like his Meghan Markle obsession, saying, "You chase royals like a dog after a bone," which hit a nerve, prompting Piers to stand and declare the interview over, with Ricky retorting, "Over, it never really started. You just wanted a soundbite," and as security approached, Ricky addressed the audience directly, "Folks, this is what happens when you challenge the status quo," earning applause that irked Piers further, and the chaotic exit unfolded with cameras rolling, capturing every awkward step, later dissected frame by frame online, with lip readers interpreting muttered words, adding to the mythos, and in retrospectives, comedians like Dave Chappelle commented on the risks of edgy humor in interviews, while journalists debated host responsibilities, but the raw appeal lay in its unpredictability, a far cry from scripted chats, and this script, if dramatized, would highlight the verbal sparring as a tennis match of intellects, volleys of wit until one snapped, culminating in the dramatic kickoff that shocked yet delighted viewers, ensuring its place in viral history. Wrapping up the saga, the aftermath saw both parties thriving amid the controversy, with Ricky Gervais leveraging the incident for his next special, incorporating bits about being cancelled on live TV, joking, "Piers kicked me off faster than Twitter bans me," to roaring crowds, while Piers Morgan used it to position himself as a defender of robust debate, hosting panels on the topic and boosting his brand as unafraid, and public opinion split along lines, some viewing Ricky as a hero for standing ground, others seeing Piers as justified in maintaining order, but consensus agreed it was must-see TV, sparking imitations and discussions globally, from UK pubs to US late night, and as time passed, the clash softened into anecdote, with potential for a rematch teased in interviews, Ricky saying he'd return if Piers promised not to eject him, and Piers quipping he'd have better security, keeping the rivalry alive for future ratings gold. But at its core, this event illustrated the thrill of unfiltered conversation in an era of echo chambers, where a heated clash can both divide and unite, leaving a lasting imprint on media landscape. And for those scripting videos about it, the narrative arc from banter to blow-up to banishment provides endless material, ensuring the title Ricky Gervais kicked off Piers Morgan's show after heated clash endures as an emblem of explosive entertainment.